Hi guys, this is Josh, and welcome to the MUTcast. Um, I will be talking about all things MUT, any news that comes out. We'll touch on the Madden series a little bit in general in terms of gameplay and things like that. But you may be familiar with some of these podcasts about MUT, and if you're not familiar with MUT, then MUT is Madden Ultimate Team. I'm going to be talking about some of the different categories I'll be going over. I mentioned gameplay, the new cards that come out. Currently, this is being recorded on July 20th, so it's trying to get some content out for you guys before the new Madden Ultimate Team game drops, Madden 19. So obviously, we really don't have much to go on. I'll touch on some of the cards that are out there right now. But right now, most of us, are winding down Madden 18. If you haven't finished some of those rookie premiere sets in Madden 18, you may be trying to get those done. Those, as far as we know, those are the only cards that are going to transfer over. So, obviously there are some things such as the loyalty badges that you got for completing the NFL replays objectives last year. That those will transfer over, but it's not really one individual player that will transfer over. It's the entire it's the badge, and then you get to pick whatever you might from a list of different sets. So one of the things I want to go over is the new rewards that they just launched about a couple days ago. If you played, I think it's any combination of 16, 17, and 18, you're going to be getting a few different players. You're going to be getting the choice between a few different players, and those would be, they have Jimmy Graham, tight end for the Green Bay Packers, and you can get Glover Quinn. You can get, just trying to think of who else they have there. So they have Zach Brown, that's the linebacker, and there are a few others, but you can get up to 3 of these. So there's really, depending on which version of the game you're getting, might be best to stack your rewards. I know that by now everyone's probably heard you're getting a free Antonio Brown, so that's an 89 overall. Now I don't know if the base elite, it does say base elite on the card, but I don't know if the base elite for that 89 overall is actually going to be a little higher. I know some people are complaining about it's got 84 speed, which is pretty good for opening day. So, if you remember back, there are a few different corners that have like 82 speed. And, we're going to be getting defensive tackles. And, for example, quarterbacks are really slow, like Tom Brady will be like 64 overall. So 84 is not too bad. Still really good speed for day one. So that list would be Zach Brown, which I mentioned, Glover Quinn, DeMarcus Lawrence, Jimmy Graham, and Brandon Cooks. So you will be getting up to 3 of those. So if you played Madden 16, 17, and 18, then you'll be getting all 3. If you played any combination of 1 or 2 of those, then as follows: you'll be getting 1 or 2 of those packs. Now, obviously, you'll be getting the Antonio Brown. With the GOAT edition, you'll be getting an additional player, that will be Dan Marino, Brian Urlacher, Terrell Owens, Rod Woodson, or Terrell Davis. So there's 2 wide receiver options there, 2 defensive back options. What I've heard from some people is it's pretty easy to get a quarterback that's pretty decent after a few simple solos for you. So even for you players that just play head-to-head, I think there's a few simple solos. It's not going to be much. Essentially, it's not going to be a whole journey series. Maybe like essentially the kickoff series. If you remember the solos from last year, I think there was about 8 of those, and it's just like one drive. So not a whole lot to be able to get. Probably about a mid-70s quarterback. So I'm not sure if Dan Marino is going to be worth it. But I have heard that these do upgrade. So you do want to be careful about who you select. I know a lot of people talked about depth positions. So you have 2 middle linebackers. So you could pick Brian Urlacher. 3 wide receivers. They're going to count. By the way, all of the positions are going to count in Madden Ultimate Team for chemistry. So they cut away with 3 or 4 left tackles, right tackles. The entire line. You don't have 5 tight ends. You don't have like up to 6 or 7 wide receivers. If it says wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5, those are, and I don't know exactly how far the wide receivers go, but those are actually going to count towards your chemistry. So something to note, if you do have a slot, throw someone in there because it's going to count for chemistry and it's worth it. Even if you have like a gold card and the chemistry is not that good, just go for it. Because eventually you're going to get in maybe a low elite early on, and you'll be able to throw that low elite in. But you might as well help out your gold cards or whatever chemistry that gold card has in the meantime. So just something to note there. The halfbacks may not be like 1 through 6, but if it's 1 through 3, throw them in there. Fullbacks, if you get a backup fullback. Now, the one thing is, for fullback, you can't throw a tight end in. So same sort of position integrity for the players. You can feel free to throw a tight end in there if you have a good tight end and you don't have a good fullback. But it's not going to count towards chemistry. So you might want to plug the fullback in and then sub them out when you get in the game. Another thing that we talked about is the subs. So there's a third down running back which is been in there, but there's a defensive tackle, pass rusher. There's I believe there's a tackle, like a third and long tackle. So there's a slot receiver. So if you want a guy to be in a slot, I know for me, like I had Edelman a lot of last year, and it was so annoying that he's on the outside, but like someone like Randy Moss is in the slot. Like that doesn't make sense. I obviously, and you have to, because different formations have different things set up. So sometimes, you got the slot receiver that's the only receiver on one side, which is nice because he has route running. But if he's running a slant on the inside and that's what you want him to do, you want someone else to run the route on the outside. So definitely nice that they changed up those positions. It should make the game a little quicker. I'm sure we're all used to people going into the game and then immediately pausing and trying to figure out their lineup. So I guess that's the intention. They did, however, get rid of the coaching adjustments. So, for those of you that are logging in and, where's the strip ball? Where's the, aggressive pass rush? They got rid of that. They might, obviously there's traits, but I don't know exactly how they're going to fill in that gap that they had before. I know there's a huge problem with the tuning issues. So sometimes you fumble way too much. Sometimes you wouldn't fumble at all in conservative. And even if it's conservative, I know that we all understand there are some fumbles that happen in the last 2 minutes, and it's unfortunate. But it should happen to you maybe once or twice a year. But it shouldn't never happen, is the point. So, that they had the issue with tuning, so they decided to turn off the coach adjustments feature, and I don't know exactly what they're going to replace it with, but, there might be a premium on if you do see, someone like Terrell Davis or something like that that's got a high carry in the beginning, or you happen to pull an elite that's got high carry, there might be a high premium on that player, whether or not you want to sell it or just hold on to it and make sure that you have a guy that can hold the ball in the last 2 minutes. The other things I touched upon this, the loyalty tokens. So in MUT 18, you could have got up to, I think it was 17 tokens. So yeah, it was 17 because there were 17 weeks of the year. I do remember getting a golden ticket player as well as an ultimate legend player. So it was 17 tokens you could receive. In MUT 19, there's a few different sets. So there's one token set as a small quick sell pack. You can only do that once. But by the way, there is no contracts. So sometimes when you're looking at these sets, like typically Madden will give you a contract back in the beginning. They'll really boost up your contracts, and you won't have to buy packs, or you won't have to, spend money just on contracts. They go rid of contracts completely. Some good and bad with that. Obviously, they're going to replace it other ways. But the one less thing to worry about. I know that they're bringing a new training currency to the game, so we'll talk about that in a second. But at least you don't have to worry about contracts. Your favorite player is like constantly on 3 contracts, and you get that pop-up message, which is really annoying. Every time you end the game, it's saying, do you want to extend your player's contracts, or do you want the minimum contract size to go up? So that that's, I guess, almost like Madden spamming you. So I guess it's good they got rid of it. But they got a new currency in the game. So we'll talk about that in a second. So 2 tokens will get you offensive silver player pack. 2 tokens also defensive player pack, and that's both of them are all the players in these packs are NAT, and it's 8 players per pack, whether it's offense or defense. 4 is going to get you offensive goal player pack, 5 goal players, and the same thing for defense, so 5 defensive players for 4 tokens. But I feel like most people might go for this one and then spend whatever they can on gold or whatever might be silver player packs. 8 tokens for an offensive elite player, so you only get 1 of those, and 8 tokens for a defensive elite player. Again, just 1. It's not actionable tradable. Now, the good thing with this is, they sort of revamped the power-up. So the way that you go about, we talked about the training currency a second ago. The way that you go about training players is by selling bronze cards. I don't know if you can sell silver for more, or gold or elite, but you can at least sell bronze cards for this currency called training. And what you do is you'll train your player and use this currency. Now, sometimes you have to have certain things in place. You may have to have I don't know, for example, you might have to have maybe like a team token in order to be able to upgrade him from 75 to an 80. But each team is going to get their own player captain, so you get to decide which player captain you want. And this player is, from what I've heard, pretty easy to upgrade. So he starts off as an 80, but he's pretty easy to upgrade to, I don't know, maybe close to a 90. I've seen, there is a team captain that you can upgrade as well. And I may be getting those mixed up, but, the team captain you could definitely upgrade. I've seen some of the screenshots of there's Jerry Rice, there's Ray Lewis, Shannon Sharp, and I believe there was 1 or 2 others. But, you'll be able to get one of those players when you log in. That's just for logging in. And that player you're able to upgrade pretty easily. So that's kind of nice. Not too hard to upgrade him from, I think they start off as a 70 or 75. 75, I believe. And they can get at least up to 90. So I've seen some screenshots of them getting up to 90. Ray Lewis and Jerry Rice, have red chems. So for those of you that are familiar, the red chems from last year, secure tackler on Ray Lewis, which hopefully is not quite as overpowered this year. And Playmaker on Jerry Rice, which is hopefully a little more powered. I mean, I think it was annoying when the guy respawned right away, but go in a direction that's not exactly where you wanted him to go with the playmaker. So we'll see. It looks like they both in the screenshot have, in addition to that playmaker chem, they do have, I believe, their team chemistry and two others. So that's the other thing, is that when you upgrade players with this training, you actually get to pick their chemistries. So one, you get to pick their chemistries, and two, you can deconstruct them for part of that training credit. So, if you have an example, I think Aaron Rodgers, the example they gave is Aaron Rodgers is a 86. Now, don't go crazy. This is just the example that Madden gave, so he's probably an 88 or 89. Assuming day one starters are going to be the best ones are going to be 90s. So he's probably in the 88 to 89 range. But the example they gave is he's a 87 base elite. You put in his 87 card, and his 86 card, and you can get an 87 trained all the way up Aaron Rodgers. I'm assuming if he gets Player of the Week, as a 91 hero set, you can put that card in and it'll become a 92. Now, if you deconstruct it, let's say that you put that 91 in and it becomes a 92, you'll get that 91 back that you can auction and trade, and then you'll get your Aaron Rodgers back down to an 87. You can deconstruct it from there and get your 86 core lead back. If he was auctionable tradable before, you'll be able to auction and trade him. So if you got him with your, if you're lucky enough to get him with the loyalty tokens, and let's say it's off, you put in 8 tokens, you got offensive elite player, you got Aaron Rodgers, that's great. When you deconstruct the set, he's still going to be NAT because you put in 8 tokens and that player was NAT. So definitely important to note that it really depends on, same thing as before. I know I took advantage of some of the cards I knew were going to be NAT. I went ahead and put in the power-up sets. But same thing as last year. But the good thing is that you can deconstruct them. So, at least, let's say there's an elite player token and you want an elite token rather than a beefed up Rodgers because you want to sell that 91. The great thing is that you'll be able to deconstruct the set where you sell the 91, you can put the 86 into the elite token set. So definitely a lot more to cover here. This essentially was, I'm going to be doing, hopefully, I'd say at least every other week, hopefully every week. So definitely feel free to check back. I know plenty of you are used to, I know some of my friends have done these YouTube videos with audio. And there's a few people out there, I won't mention anyone's name without their permission, but the whole idea of this is to have something to take when you go to work. So plenty of us are, I live in Boston, take the T. Plenty of us take public transportation, maybe drive. You're not going to be watching YouTube videos, hopefully not, watching YouTube videos where you're driving or while you're in the subway and you just have no reception. So the idea of this would be to, go ahead and download this, take it to work with you. Feel free to, this is the whole idea of this is to be able to, we're all thinking about MUT, especially when, Team of the Week drops or something like that. We're all thinking about it. The whole idea is to be able to listen to someone talk about Madden Ultimate Team while you're in the subway or, while you don't essentially have access to YouTube or play the game yourself. So I am going to hopefully maybe have a co-host or we're going to be interviewing some people on YouTube. So if you do have a YouTube channel you're looking to grow or, you have some opinions about Madden Ultimate Team or even Madden Connected Franchise, because there's a lot to talk about in terms of gameplay, please feel free to reach out to me. The best way to reach me probably is, I'll leave my email in the show notes, but it's Gecko Gaming, that's spelled like the animal, 06 at gmail.com, and you can definitely reach out to me there. It's the best way to reach me. I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. Also, if you're trying to promote your YouTube channel, right now I'm trying to get a few sponsors for the podcast, so there are obviously spots open now. Feel free to reach out to me, and we could talk about sponsorship or whatever it might be. Maybe it's an interview with you, and just getting to know you a little bit and what your YouTube channels is looking to accomplish. Obviously, there's tons out there. I won't even start to name them, but there's plenty of people there trying to make a name for themselves, and I'd love to be a part of that. So definitely feel free to reach out to me for that as well. So with that, I will leave you guys. I will hopefully be back before the game drops, and especially if they have any new content. I'll try and get something out as soon as possible. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.